Welcome back. This is Sandy with Sandy's Organized Chaos, and today I'm going to be showing you guys how to create this snowy drip leopard swirl tumbler with a Santa on it. I mean, Santa, is up to you, but still, I'm going to show you guys how to do this today. Super easy, super simple. I know you guys got this. So if you're new to my channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any more tips, vlogs, tutorials I have coming your way. And I also want to say thank you so very much to the 8,000 subscribers that I have right now. I am so blown away. Thank you guys so very much for subscribing, for being here. I thank you so very much. I also want to let you guys know that I do have some affiliate links down below. I have one for Arteza and I also have one for Alumilite. Now these are at no extra cost to you. It just kind of helps so that way I can make these videos for you guys. And if you use my links, you also get a percentage off. So make sure you check those out down below. So grab your favorite sparkly drink and let's get to this. I am starting out with a 14-ounce coffee mug that I purchased through the Stainless Depot. This is Hog brand. They are double-walled, so, good to go there. I went ahead and I spray painted it this smoky beige by Rust-Oleum. I just really like this color, and I thought it would give it kind of an antique look, because I'm kind of going for a retro antique look today. I already have a little bit of Alumilite mixed up here. From earlier, I had a bunch of tumblers I had to do, so I just have a little bit mixed up here. Now for the base, I am using Snowball by Mr. Nola's Glitter. That will be completely on the tumbler. That's our base. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of my Alumilite here and I'm going to spread it all over really, really well, making sure that I get that handle too. I'm going to slow it down here in a second, kind of show you guys how I do the handle. It's easy. You just take a little bit of epoxy and just make sure you rub it in really, really well so that way that glitter has something to stick to. Now, if you're new to making tumblers, you always want to find an epoxy that is FDA compliant. It doesn't matter what epoxy you use, just as long as it's FDA compliant, which Alumilite Amazing Clear Cast is. So I just want to let you guys know that for anybody who is new. And it is also very important for your PPE. Make sure you wear gloves, make sure you wear goggles, make sure you work in a very well ventilated area, or if you can't work in a very well ventilated area, wear that respirator, guys. It's important, okay? Okay, I just felt like I needed to say that. Okay, so here I am. I'm just gonna dump all that glitter right onto my tumbler, just like you typically would. You just wanna coat it up really well. Make sure you get that handle really good. And there is our base coat. I'm gonna let that cure for about 3 hours, and then I'm going to put a second coat of epoxy over that. Then I'm going to let that continue to cure overnight, and we'll be ready to move on to the next step. Now, as you can see, since our base coat is that smoky beige, that glitter really looks like an antique white now. Absolutely beautiful. So it's been 12 hours and we are ready to move on to the next step. Now, this didn't need to be sanded, but if yours needs to be sanded, go ahead and give it a quick little sand, get down any of those little points that might be sticking up. Mine didn't, so I didn't really need to sand it. I was just kind of showing you guys, make sure you do your rim, make sure you do the bottom, good to go. Now to paint my leopard spots, I'm using this metallic color by Arteza. This is called Glowing Peach. But you can use any type of pink you have on hand. You don't have to use this. I'm also going to be using Rose Opal, which I sell at my shop. It's a pink color with little tiny opals in it. I just felt like it needed just a little extra sparkle. So I'm going to use the paint as an adhesive, and then I'm going to sprinkle the glitter on. So the first thing you want to do is you want to figure out what side is going to be the front. I'm right-handed, so the handle is going to go off to the left, so that way I can get started on what will be the front side of the tumbler. Now, if you're going to be selling these in your shop, you want to maybe ask your customers if they're right-handed or left-handed, so that way, you make sure that you have all the stuff on the right side for them. Now, painting the leopard spots is really easy, guys. It's almost like, they almost look like kisses to me. They almost look like little leopard kisses. I don't know. So I'm going to just show you guys. You just do like little half circles around each other. It's super easy. If you want to practice first, maybe on a piece of paper, go ahead and do that until you feel a little bit more comfortable. So I'm going to do a couple spots, and then I'm going to go ahead and sprinkle my glitter onto the leopard spots here. So after I shake my glitter on here, I'm not going to wipe anything away. You want that to be nice and dry before you wipe any excess glitter away. So I'm going to go ahead and just tap that off real good, and then I'm just going to continue to paint my spots. I'm going to finish up the bottom first, and then I'm going to continue on with the stripe around the front of the tumbler, just making sure that I go at an angle up the side of my tumbler all the way up to the top. Now, as you guys can see, I am going the opposite way of the handle. So I'm just going all the way up onto that other side. Very easy. Doing stripes is very easy. Okay, now I'm just gonna kind of show you guys how I did it. See, I went up all the way over to that side and I did a little bit of the bottom. Now I am going to let that dry for a minute. I actually used my blow dryer to make it dry. Then I came through and I swiped off my glitter. I just did this way so that way I didn't accidentally stick my hand in it and smudge it. So now we're just going to kind of come through, take a look at what we have here, and we're going to get started on that other stripe coming up the other way. So what you want to do is take up from your bottom and go up and around under the handle and finish up on what will be the front of the tumbler. Super easy. I know you guys got this. So to just kind of give myself a visual, I just took my fingers and I just kind of, okay, here I want it to end here, and I want to make sure that I come all the way up and under, back around to my bottom, so that way it does a nice swirl all the way around. That's the only thing I like to do when I do these, so that way I kind of visualize exactly what I plan on doing. So I'm going to go ahead and do the same exact process where I make my little leopard kisses. Then I'm going to sprinkle my glitter on, and then what I'm going to do after that is I'm going to come through after everything's dry and just kind of touch up any spots, maybe add a couple more, kind of fill in here and there, and then we'll be ready to move on to that next step. So after this is fully dried and I come through and I swipe all that extra glitter off, I'm going to make sure that I go outside and give it a nice coating of my 2x ultra clear spray by Rust-Oleum. There we go. I'll show you guys that here in a second. But I'm going to do that so that way none of that glitter shifts around on my tumbler when I go to apply the next coat of epoxy. Here it is already. Here's that clear coat I was telling you guys about. And as you can see how it looks a little bit more matte than usual. That's because I gave it that coating of the clear coat. As I was doing that, I went ahead and poured up a little bit more epoxy for myself. You don't need that much, just enough to give it a coating, because we're going to be doing kind of like a milky swirl with it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and give it a nice coating of this. And I'm going to make sure just to leave a tiny little, you don't need very much, just a tiny little bit of epoxy left on the bottom, so that way we can move on to that extra little bit of stuff we're going to do to it here in a second. Also, no need to fret if your spray clear is matte or whatever. It gets shiny once you put the epoxy on it, just so you guys know. Now, the mica powders that I'm going to be using today are from Arteza. Look at this set that Arteza sent me. These are 60 mica powders in here. Look at all those colors. It's crazy. And they're all absolutely beautiful. There's 60 vibrant colors. They're multi-purpose, cosmetic grade, and non-toxic. So you can use them in bath bombs. You can use them in soap. You can use it in makeup. I mean, if you want to make some makeup and stuff, I don't know. But they're also great in epoxy when working on tumblers. Now look at all these colors. It was so difficult to choose a color because they're all just absolutely stunning. Now there are 57 metallic colors, there we go, and 3 chameleon colors, and then you also get a little measuring spoon as well, but you guys know me, I just kind of dump my stuff in there. So I'm kind of looking for colors that match my tumbler, so I kind of went with this beige here, and I also went with a pink. So I'm just going to kind of pick through here. Was this the pink that I used? I'm trying to see. Yes, that was the pink I used, I think. Now the colors that I used were peachy beige for the beige color, obviously, and a flamingo pink for just a little bit of, it was just like a little bit of highlight of a pink that I used. Now I did end up adding a little bit of Aztec gold to the peachy beige as well, which I didn't show here, but that's the gold that I added to the peachy beige after I went ahead and started doing my swirl. So let's go ahead and get these colors going onto that tumbler. But if you guys want to check this set out, you can go on to Arteza's website that I have in the description below, and you can get yourself one as well. Don't forget to use my code and you will get a percentage off of your item. So I'm a really good influencer. I don't even know what I'm saying half the time. Anyways, all right, let's move on. Okay, so we have a little bit, see, it's like just scrapings of epoxy in our cup here. That's all you need. So I'm going to take a little bit, just a little bit, see, just taking a little bit on my little spatula here, and that's all I'm going to use for the pink, and then the rest of it, the peachy beige and the Aztec gold, are going to go into that other cup there. So I'm going to go ahead and get those mixed up. And like I said, it did come with a spoon, but I just kind of dumped it in. I know, I'm bad. It does give you measurements on the back on how much to use, but like I said, I just kind of do my own thing here. Okay, so we're at the turner here. Now, this is my tumbler with the fresh epoxy. That is fresh epoxy. You want to make sure that that you didn't let it set for too long, so that way all this stuff kind of moves around and blends together. This is completely abstract. All you're gonna do, just like how you would do a Milky Way, or you know, those gypsy swirls I see you guys do, those beautiful, beautiful gypsy swirls. Oh, I love those. Anyways. You're just going to do the same exact thing. That's all you got to do. Just abstractly put your stripes of your mica powders through here and just let it do its thing. Now, you don't want to add too much because you might overpower the leopard spots we already put there. So that's why I only did a little bit. I just wanted just highlights here and there, and that's all you got to do. Now, after I let this spin for about 2 hours, whenever it's just really tacky, I'm going to come through and I'm going to show you guys, I'm going to add some snowflakes to it. I just feel like it needed it. I mean, you know, it's a Christmas cup, so it has to have snowflakes. All right, now that I have that flamingo pink just the way I'd like, I'm going to move on to that peachy beige with the Aztec gold mix that I mixed up here. So I'm just going to go ahead and apply that, and then we'll add those snowflakes. All right, my little swirls are all done. I'm gonna come through and hit it up with my torch just to get out any of those air bubbles and just to make sure that we have a nice glassy finish when we're all done. It's been about 2 hours now and everything is nice and tacky, so we are able to add those snowflakes. Now I'm using Hello Winter that I sell in my shop as well. I'm just gonna stick those in a little dish here. Oops, I got some on the table. It'll be fine. You just want to use something to kind of place it onto your tumbler. I'm using my little jewel picker here, but whatever you have on hand to be able to get those flakes on there. This is all I'm going to be doing to get them on there. Oh, once I figure out how to put that on my jewel picker, okay, there we go. All right. Now I'm just going to take these snowflakes and I'm just going to randomly place them throughout that leopard swirl. There we go. Leopard. Yes, leopard. And then I'm going to let that continue to cure for another 12 hours, and then we are going to apply our decal. Now here she is with all her snowflakes on, looking pretty and sparkly. Okay, now like I said, I'm going to let that continue to cure, and then we'll move on to that next step. Now the decal that I am using today, I did just a simple search for retro or vintage Christmas, and I happened to find the Santa Claus that I really liked. He has a little leopard hat on, and I thought it went really well with what I'm doing. So I went ahead and I got him all printed up. I used white water slides and I gave him a nice coating of clear coat, and that's what I'm using. But you could use printable vinyl, whatever you feel comfortable with, however you want to do it. But this is how I'm doing it. So I'm going to go ahead and figure out where I would like my decal. Again, I'm going to remember that I'm right-handed, so the handle is going to go off to the left. And then I'm going to put my little Santa Claus in my dish here of water. Now, if you're new to doing water slides, I have another video where I kind of show how to do water slides, which I'll attach up above if you want to take a look at it, but it's really easy, guys. You just let it soak in the water after you gave it that nice coating of clear coat, slide it onto your tumbler, wring all that water out, and it's good to go. Now, like I said in the beginning, you can obviously use any type of decal you'd like. There's no right or wrong here, guys. Wherever your imagination takes you, let it take you there. This is where my imagination took me. I just really got a retro vintage vibe from what I was doing, so that's why I went with this Santa Claus guy. So I'm just gonna go ahead and wring out that water. I'm gonna let him dry for about 15-20 minutes, and then we'll move on to the drip. And of course, I will make sure to put where I got this in the description below so that way you guys can get that if you'd like to use it as well. Now for the snowy drip. So I took my 1 pump each of my epoxy. That's 1 ounce each. I mixed it up really well. I'm going to add Ballerina Glow from Arteza into this, just to kind of give it just a little bit more of that snowy look. And I'm also going to use Shattered Opal, which I sell in my glitter shop, www.socglitters.com if you want to check it out. So I'm going to go ahead and pour a little bit of this in, pour a little Shattered Opal in, and mix it up really well. Now this cellophane glitter, it has a lot of big chunks, and I only wanted the little chunks. And I bought a bunch of these shakers from Michael's, these huge shakers. And so I decided just kind of shake out the small stuff. So I needed to take a piece of paper, and I just shook out as much of the small pieces as I could. I did end up adding a little bit more of the chunkier stuff to it as well because I wanted it real thick in there. You know, I wanted to give it a nice glow to it. So I'm going to go ahead and mix that up really well. And then we are going to let that sit for quite a while. Now, I know somebody had sent me a message, thank you very much, talking about an additive that you can add to your epoxy to help this process along. I don't have that additive, but if you have it, go ahead and use it because, like I said, you really got to babysit this stuff to move on to that next step. Now, that additive was called Nice and Thick by Counterculture. I hope I'm saying that right. But that's what the additive is called if you guys want to look into that. So here I have all my stuff mixed up, and I'm going to take a Ziploc baggie, which somebody gave me this awesome tip from my Bubbly Witch's Brew. You take a Ziploc baggie, you put it into something, and then you pour what you want to do the drips with into it, and it'll kind of help out when you're ready to go do that. Now, I'm not going to put all of it in there. I'm only going to put a little more than half in there, and the rest of it I'm going to save in my cup for doing the snowballs. So the part that's going into the bag will be for the drips, and then the part in the cup will be for that snowball look that we're going to do. Okay, so I'm going to take my Ziploc baggie and, you know, just like we're doing up some cookies or, you know, frosting or putting something into a pepper. I don't know if you guys make stuffed peppers or not, but anyways, that's exactly what you're going to do is you're going to let that sit in there and you're going to let that get nice and warm and thick, and then we'll be ready to put it onto our tumbler. So since we have that all nicely tight in the little bag here, it's only going to take 30 to 40 minutes for it to get to where you can use it for your drip, because the thicker the epoxy, the faster it cures. Yes, I know that's weird, but it's true. With Alumilite's Amazing Clear Cast, at least. I don't know how it is with other epoxies. So now I just snipped off a little piece of my Ziploc baggie at the end there, and then we are ready to come around and apply that to the rim of our cup. So I'm going to put the first coating on, and then I'm going to flip it onto its bottom, and then I'm going to apply another coat of the drips around the rim as well, and then it's just a matter of babysitting it and flipping it up and down for a while until it finally gets a little bit set and where you want it. I know it's a little tedious, but the end result is so amazing, so that's why I really enjoy doing these drip tumblers. So I want to say, after I got all my drips on and I did this motion of doing it this way and then flipping it this way and then flipping it back over the other way, I want to say this probably took another 30 minutes or so, if not 40 minutes. I know. Maybe the additive, maybe I should look into the additive. So I'm just going to go ahead and finish doing this, and then move on to that snowball look. Okay, now that everything's a little bit set up here, as you can see, the rest of that epoxy is nice and thick on the bottom of my cup here. Now, this is all about molding this epoxy. You're pretty much sculpting the epoxy to how you want it to look. And I pretty much just did little balls all over it. I just made sure to kind of set it in there, and I even came back through with my little spatula thing and kind of shoved everything up and kind of folded everything back onto itself just to give it a little bit more character, just adding these little epoxy balls all over it until I got it exactly the way that I wanted it. Also making sure to continue to kind of flip it up straight and back down on its bottom, so that way those drips didn't go too far down my cup. We as Tumbler artists know all too well the labor of love we put into every single one of our pieces. So when you go to sell this piece, do not sell yourself short. This is a lot of work. This is a lot of time. This is a lot of material. So do not sell yourself short. Make sure you get what you feel it is worth when you go to sell these items. Now, as you've seen there, I kind of had a weird drip happen, but that's okay because we want it to look like snow. We want it to look, a little distressed. So anything like that, that's fine, guys. Don't fret too much on it. Now, as you can see here, I'm just going to kind of take this epoxy and just kind of fold it up onto itself, giving it a little bit more definition. As you can see, I made almost 2 separate layers, so that way it just looked like snow on top of snow. And that's pretty much all I did for the snowy cap. That's pretty much the basis of this. Now, if you were doing this on a darker tumbler, you might be able to see all those little shards of glitter that were on that, but because this was such a light tumbler, I didn't mind all that, and I thought it kind of just went with it. Just keep in mind that if you're doing this, to try not to scrape up too much from the bottom, because you'll end up having some of that extra glitter from this epoxy on the base of your tumbler. And if that's not the look you're going for, like I said, you just kind of want to be careful when doing this. So I'm just going to continue to sculpt and mold my epoxy here until I get it exactly the way that I like. Just keep adding those epoxy balls, kind of zhuzhing it, just giving it texture. That's all you're pretty much doing here. And then I'm going to let that cure for about 8 to 12 hours, and then we are going to give it a good sanding because these glitters, the cellophane glitter, kind of pokes up through. That's kind of why I wanted to shake out just the smaller stuff. So I'm gonna go ahead and clean up my rim really well, and then I'm going to give it a really good sanding, and then we're going to add our last coat of epoxy to it. Okay, so I mixed up some more epoxy, a little A and B here. I'm going to apply that to my tumbler really well, making sure that I get that handle, making sure that I get in between all those little bits of snowballs that I did there, just really rubbing this epoxy in very, very well. Then after I rub this in really well, I'm going to take my torch and I'm going to hit it up really good, making sure I get all in between those snowballs so no little air bubbles will be stuck in there anywhere. And then I'm going to let that cure for up to 3 days before I take my first sip out of it. And now you are ready to sip some hot cocoa in style, mind you, on those cold winter days, or, warm winter days if you live somewhere warm like I do. Whether you take this design and duplicate it as is, or you take it and let it inspire you to create something completely your own, I hope that you guys had a lot of fun watching this today. Now, if you're new to my channel, again, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and I will see you guys next time.